Hello everybody, it's Katie Lynn. I'm an artist, blogger, and now I suppose I'm a tutorial creator. I've recently started recording art tutorials, different projects, and all sorts of topics, and I love working with mixed media, and I do a lot of journaling, art journaling, stamping, embossing, painting, and I also love to dabble in digital art as well. And fortunately, I've teamed up with Design Cuts, and I've been playing around with their new vintage bundle. And let me tell you, it is the biggest, most amazing bundle they've ever come out with. They've come out with a lot of bundles in the past, and this is definitely my favorite one. And the image you're looking at right now is just a quick finger exercise I've been doing, just playing around with different things. So I'll show you real quick. So I started with this paper texture, and then I added this frame, and then I cut a hole where the middle of the frame is, and then I filled the background with like a ivory color, and then I brought in this figure, and then I brought in the owl. I don't know if I like the owl there, but you know, it's kind of busy, I suppose, but I was just playing around. What I want to show you though in this video is how you can take the brushes that I've created for you, the vintage brushes, which I actually made from my stamp collection here at home, and I scanned them in at very high resolution and just really wanted to share them with you. And I know they're probably not perfect, but I think that, you know, they've got a nice grungy sort of old style look to them, and I think that they can really become of use, especially with this new Design Cuts bundle. I think the two pair really well together. So let's get started. The first thing I want to talk about in this video, and this is for beginners or really anyone who just needs a refresher, it's how to install brushes into your Photoshop program. So let's take away all of this distracting stuff. You're going to select your brush tool by using your key command, Command or Control B, and then you're going to go up to your brush selector with this little arrow, click down, and then you're going to go over here to this little gear, click on it, and scroll down to Load Brushes. So you're going to select Load Brushes, and all of the brushes that I've made for you are going to be in the folder Vintage Brushes by Katie Lynn. So you'll just click on that folder, and you'll select the first one, and then hold down Shift, select the last one, and then you've selected all of them, so you can go and open. And voila! All of your brushes are now over here in your brush arsenal. And it's that simple. Just pop them in there. So yeah, let's play around with some of these, and I want to just show you a few of my favorite ways to customize brushes and make them look very interesting and, you know, just make them look cool. So here we go. I'm going to bring back this paper texture as sort of a canvas to work on. And I'll go up here to my brush selector, and I'll choose, well, might as well choose this circular clock here. And I'll press Enter to get rid of that brush box. And I'll use my bracket keys to make this brush smaller. And I'm having a hard time with the bracket keys getting the right size. So I'll just click up here in my brush menu, and I'll change the size to 1050. We'll see if that works. Yeah, that works pretty well. Okay, so I'll just line that up in there and then click it. Although I do have to press D on my keyboard to get my default colors so that I can get black. And make sure my opacity is at 100% as well. So I can click it in black, or I could go over to my color picker over to the left and choose a different color if, you know, I wanted to make my clock a different color. And I'm gonna find a nice brown. And we'll go over here, click right inside of there. Okay, so now I've got that nice brown there. Another way to change the color of your brush. So say that I had just stamped in plain black and I wanted to change the color, but I didn't know how, or I didn't want to go backwards and start over with the brush. I can, oh no, I just realized something. I have stamped onto my background layer. So I'm going to select the background layer and it's stamped on there. And that's not good. You always want to make sure that you create a new layer for each of your brushes so that it's more customizable. I'm just going to go to my history and go back to the brush tool. And now I'm going to click a new layer and label it clock. And then I'm going to go to my brush and put my clock in there. There we go. That's much better. So my clock is on its own layer, and now I love adding pattern overlays. Photoshop comes with some presets already. So it comes with, where are they? They're like down here. They're kind of mixed in. But I've downloaded some watercolor patterns as well as some glitter patterns, and if you've visited prismaticart.com, you've probably realized I really like to use glitter patterns in pretty much everything. I don't know, I just think it adds just a nice little brightness to the words and such. Anyways, for this clock, I think I'm going to go with a glitter. So yeah, let's just go with that one for now. And I can change the size of the glitter. So if I go to 100, you'll see more of the glitter. And if I double click on the pattern overlay, I can get right back there and raise my opacity so that you can see a little bit more of that. And of course, underneath the glitter, there's brown. So if I take my opacity to 0, it's just brown. And the more I raise it, the more of that glitter you can see. So I'll click OK, because I'm done with that. Another one of my favorite things to do with stamps is bevel and embossing them. So as I've said before, I really like stamping and embossing on paper, and I love that you can also do it digitally. So I'm going to make sure my clock is selected, go down to my effects button, and go up to bevel and emboss. Okay, so this dialog box is going to pop up here, and you've got lots of options. I usually only stick to tweaking just a few of them. So style, you can bevel it, pillow emboss, that looks kind of cool actually. Stroke emboss, or just regular emboss. I think I'm actually gonna go with just the regular emboss for now. And you can choose the direction that it goes. So I'm going to choose up. And you can choose the size. So you can make it super embossed, or you can make it, flat. So we'll go nice, happy medium there. Maybe 18, because I like that number. Okay, and then you can soften it as well. So it looks like that just kind of takes some of the edge off. I don't usually play around with this one, but it looks like it just smooths out the edges a little bit. Okay, so we'll leave that at 3, and then we'll click OK. Awesome, so now we have this very cool looking vintagey clock in the middle of this paper. It's kind of random, but I'm basically just trying to show you different techniques you can use. Okay, so let's try some more techniques with a different brush. Of course, I'm going to make a new layer, and we'll label this, we'll make a border, so we'll label it Corner Ornaments, because I know that I have a really awesome corner ornament brush that I want to show you. Okay, so I've selected the brush over here, and I'll push enter, and I'll use my bracket keys to make my brush smaller, and go up here in the corner, and we'll make it pretty big. Why not? And I'm still in brown, but that's okay. So I want to show you a really awesome way to add some color to your stamps. I love doing the effect of gradient overlays. So we're going to do a gradient overlay. Okay, so since this is pretty linear, we're going to choose a style that is linear. So linear gradient. And then Blend mode is normal, so that's cool. You know, you can change the blend mode and see how it reacts to whatever color you have on there. That actually looks pretty cool. And then one thing I like to do is just play around with my colors. So it'll bring up this gradient editor if you click just anywhere inside of here. And then these little boxes, you're going to click on them. And then you'll click on the color, and it'll bring up a color picker. So I'm going to choose, let's see, we'll choose that. Actually, let's choose brown to go with the color palette that we've already got here. Okay, so we'll go with brown. And I want to change my blend mode to normal so that I can actually see the brown. And then I'm going to go back into my color picker and choose the green. And I'm going to turn the green into like a purpley color. Okay, so we'll go with that. Click OK on all of my dialog boxes. And I'm also, while I'm in this layer style dialog box here, I can choose to bevel and emboss. Yay! So I could do that all in one step. So I've done my gradient and I just go right up here to bevel and emboss. Now with the emboss, I'm just gonna play around because some of the other options looked pretty cool. That's an inner bevel, outer bevel. Let's just stick with the regular emboss. But as you can see, there are so many options you can play around with. And I'm going to make it just a little bit more pronounced. And lower the size a little bit. And we'll click OK. Now say I wanted to add that little corner ornament in every corner really quickly. I'm going to show you how to do that. So to duplicate your layer, you're going to hit Command J. So make sure your corner ornament's selected, and I'll hit Command J 3 times. And I will select each one, press V to get my move tool, and then drag them out to their respective places. And of course, that looks pretty silly. So I'm going to transform all of them to make them face the right direction. So we'll start with this one since I'm already selected on it. We'll go Command T to get our free transform tool, and I'll right click and I'm going to flip it vertically, and then I'm going to flip it horizontally, and then I'll line it up and press enter, and that's locked in there now. Next, I'm going to go up to the next one. Same thing, Command T, and I'm going to flip it vertically and line it up and press enter. And then the last one, Command T, flip it vertically, oops, flip it horizontally rather, and then line it up and press enter. So now we have this really cool looking frame. So we're gonna go and make a new layer. And I don't know what brush I want yet. It's a surprise. Let's see. Let's try the paint brushes because I really like those. So press enter to make that box go away. And we'll do the brushes down here. So we stamped it. Okay, so let's see what kind of, let me just layer brushes. Let's do another pattern overlay. Let's make our brushes sparkly. Actually, before we do that, let's go up here and emboss them. And I'm gonna really raise these up. Not too crazy. And then pattern overlay. Okay, so what color do we want to do? Probably something darker. Maybe like one of these to match the border. And of course we can change the scale, the size of our sparkles. So we can go down to 50 to make it a little less crazy. So yeah, that's just another technique, kind of the same idea that we've been playing around with. Oh, another thing I should talk about with brushes real quick. Okay, so say I want to have some paintbrushes coming off the top here. I'm going to go over to my brush bar here. And this is going to pull up all of my brush options. And I can change the direction of my brush, which is what we're going to want to do if we want to have them coming off the side here. So let's change the direction by using this little swivelly circle and stamp it right there. And my sparkles are still there. How wonderful, because I'm on the same layer actually, but that's all good. You can scatter your brush, so let's pick a different brush, and I'll show you real quick how we can scatter. Say I want to scatter a bunch of 8s because 8's my favorite number. So I've got scattering checked. I'm going to make my brush a little bit smaller, and I'm actually going to make a new layer for this. Scatter 8s. Okay, and I'm going to pick a new color. I'll do aqua. Okay, so I'm going to scatter a bunch of aqua 8s. Aqua 8s, that's hard to say. I'm going to scatter a bunch of aqua 8s by clicking, holding down, and then moving. Ooh. Okay, I guess I have to select my spacing over here first. So let's see, I want not so many, because I want to see them scatter. See how they scatter? It's pretty fun. Let's try something else instead of 8s. Now that I see it, it looks really silly. Let's try balloons. And let's make them green. And we'll make them really small. And again, I did the same thing where I didn't select the spacing, so we'll Command Z, undo, and get the spacing up a little bit more. Woo! Balloons! Balloon party. So yeah, that's a pretty fun thing to do with brushes. Let's see. Texture. I don't really use a whole lot of these other ones, but I have done scattering, and I think scattering is pretty darn fun. And since we're here, real quick, I'm going to make these sparkly green balloons. Okay. Anyways, that's about it for the tutorial today, and I really hope that you learned something and you enjoyed it. Another thing I wanted to talk about real quick is the Design Cuts Vintage Bundle. I want to talk about that just one more time. This is another piece that I created using the content for Design Cuts. So let me just get rid of all this stuff. But yeah, this is another piece that I created, and I just had so much fun playing around with the Design Cuts bundle, and I ended up making this. And you know, I love journaling, art journaling and stuff, so I sort of digitized a page, and I just love the quote, "Always be on the lookout for the presence of wonder." And here's an elephant swimming in the water, and there's a mermaid. I don't know. I just had a lot of fun with this page, and I thought I'd share it with you. I hope that you enjoyed this video all about how to do brushwork on your Photoshop canvas and how to get the most out of your new bonuses. Next week, I'll be releasing a follow-up tutorial on how I created that image with the swimming elephant. So if you like that image and you want to learn some cool techniques that I used, definitely keep an eye out for that. Anyways, for now, if you haven't subscribed yet to my email on prismaticheart.com, there'll be a subscription box that'll pop up and it'll ask you for your emails. After you pop in your email, you'll start to receive the latest updates and exciting news from me, Katie Lynn, at Prismatic Heart. You'll be updated when I post new things, and anytime I have a resource to share, something I made, or a promotion, you'll receive all those updates, and I promise they won't overload your inbox, but I think you'll really enjoy being a part of the Prismatic Heart community. And that's all for today. I hope that you have a wonderfully creative day.